Hello, welcome to another episode of SaaS Scaled. I'm pleased to have Manish Garg here, and he's the SVP Product and Technology at EarnUp. Welcome, Manish.
Hi, Arman. Really good to meet you. Thank you for having me on this podcast and this.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What's the story there?
Yeah. So, for me, from my work perspective, I've mostly grown up in the enterprise software world. That's where I've spent last. Don't want to age myself too much, but considerable number of years. I worked at SAP for a long time, where I really cut my teeth into that and learned the enterprise world. And then I moved on over to a startup for a few years, and then I was with Elime, which eventually became Ice Mortgage or Ice. It was acquired by Ice, and now I'm with a startup, EarnUp, based out of San Francisco Bay Area.
Hmm. And you're working with EarnUp. What is that EarnUp does? What is the problem that EarnUp solves? Can you tell us a little bit about the company as well, please?
Sure, sure. So EarnUp is a double bottom line company, which means we want to do good financially, obviously, like every company, but we also want to do good by our users. We have investors who have invested in our company because of our mission of building a financial system that works for everyone, that works for users, for borrowers like you and me, as well as for large enterprises. A system that works for everyone is a system that really succeeds, and that's what we really believe in. And our mission is to help every borrower manage their debt more effectively than they do today. Um, we believe debt is to some extent unnecessary. It gives leverage to people, but many people are not very adept or very good at managing their debt. So we help with that, and we like to see our borrowers get debt free at some point. But that's kind of our story. And along the way, we want to help lenders pitch the right products, bring the right products to the borrowers, and help the borrowers succeed, and also for them to be able to grow their top line and their bottom lines as an entire process.
Fantastic. And you have been involved in a number of startups, as you mentioned. You are very familiar with the environment. And then, what do you think really about SaaS companies starting, and then how do you define the very initial phases and the way they should approach the market, the way they should look at the product market fit, the way they should even define that in order to get to the initial success that is the problem for most startups to get to pass that barrier, talking about B2B, for example. It's really the very crucial part that is the most difficult part is just to pass that $1 million ARR, or getting the initial 10, 20 customers. And that is just a big barrier. That's kind of, when you pass that, then the risk is much less, and then the fun starts and everything can work pretty well. And but that start, that very challenging part, is a big question mark in the mind of many people. How to lower that risk, how to pass that phase faster, how to do it better. What's your take on it?
Sure. Thanks for asking that question, Norman. It's one of my core expertise is to focus on things like that, and I'd love to. I can keep talking about that, so you have to stop me at some point. Uh, but I really break that down into three phases. For any company that is starting out or which is relatively younger, finding that product market fit is step number one, and I'll talk more about that. Once you find your product market fit, you have to start building on top of that, and scaling your go to market and scaling your market presence. And once you've found the product market fit, you built and scaled, and then you start optimizing your operations, you start optimizing your business, you start optimizing everything in the company, and you start improving your margins as a result of that. And there's in enterprises at least, there's a well-defined model as to how somebody could go about doing it, but it differs slightly from business to business and company to company. But on the whole, finding the product market fit initially, companies have to be very scrappy in doing that. And that's really the true entrepreneurial spirit when you go out and test the market. What does actually product market fit mean? Like, how do you know you've achieved product market fit? For me, the simplest parameter for that is, are customers buying your products? And again, I come from enterprise world, so when I say customers, I mean enterprises. Are enterprises buying your customer? Do you have 10, 15 paying enterprises who are paying for your product? And these are customers that you've actually cultivated and brought in organically, meaning not your friends and family or just references or your past. Some will be, because without that, it's very hard to bootstrap. But at some point, you need to have a good sense of why people are coming and buying your products and why are they wanting to get on your platform. As a result of doing that, you will finesse your product, you will finesse your pitch, you'll finesse and understand the pain points of the customers really well. Once you start having that kind of attraction, that should get you in the ballpark of $2-3 million of revenue ARR. That's when you start building out and scaling. And again, building and scaling, what does that actually mean? Building your products, but also building your go-to-market strategy. How are you going to scale in the market? What are you going to do there? Um, and you reach 20, 30, 50 customers at some point. Again, it depends on the size of the customers. You reach 15, $20 million in ARR, and that's when you start optimizing and improving your operations. And again, building a successful product is not just building the product, right? Like, we all know that it's building everything else around that, building your go-to-market strategy around that. For many businesses, for us specifically, we move hundreds of millions of dollars from point A to point B every month. And so we also have to have the right set of operations, compliance, oversight, um, money movement capabilities. So that is all processes that we have to set up. That's outside of directly outside of product per se, right? So standing up all of those functionalities, having the right partnerships in place. So those are all key factors that will define your success in the market or not. So that's kind of how I think about it. And the last parts, and each of these parts will differ slightly based on what business you are in. But I don't just think of product and engineering. I think of all of the aspects of it. How do you go to market? How are you going to sell it? Who you are going to sell it to? And what other operational aspects you're going to need to succeed in the market. So I'm going to stop here, and let you ask other questions.
Sure. So if there are two different scenarios, and one is, for example, let's say you are now at the point that either you want to start or you want to invest or you want to work with two different startups, and one of them is going to go to a greenfield and it's a new kind of territory, and the other one is just going to take an existing territory, something that people know, but just making it better, faster, cheaper, right? So um, one versus the other. In one situation,